Welcome everyone to this session of PD in your PJs. I'm thrilled that you are here tonight with us, or in the afternoon if you're joining from our friends in New Zealand and Australia. So if you've never joined us before for a PD in your PJs, here are a couple things to note. You will hear me talking, but we will not be able to hear you. So if you have questions, you're going to be able to type them in, and we are going to get to those at the end. So you actually might want to save them to the end and type them in at that point. After this webinar, you will get the slides and the recording as well. So I'm going to talk fast, most likely. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. So if you're ever thinking, Angela, could you just slow down a little bit? It's okay. You are going to get the recording. So yay, we have someone here from Argentina too. Awesome. So just take note of that. If you feel like I'm going too quick and whatnot, don't worry. This is going to come to you in a recording as well. But we're going to have a lot of fun here today, and you're going to get to interact with Seesaw. So I want to let you know you should have a second device ready next to you besides the computer that you are maybe watching this webinar on. You're going to want to download the class app if you're using a mobile device, or go to app.seesaw.me in a web browser if you are on a different computer or laptop. You don't need to create a class or anything right now. You just need to have the app, because today you are going to play around with Seesaw as a student. I want you to experience it before you start using it with your own students. So you are in the right place if you are brand new to Seesaw. So this is a webinar, like step one webinar for people that have never used Seesaw before and want to get going. So let's do this here. So the plan for today is we're going to talk a little bit about just the introduction to Seesaw and the features. You are going to get to experience Seesaw as a student. We're going to go through tools and classroom ideas, just kind of keeping it basic, again, just starting off. And then we'll talk about my Seesaw plan and take questions. Now, also note too that hopefully you've signed up to join me tomorrow for Brand New to Seesaw 2, which is kind of the second half of this beginner one. And after those two, you can feel confident that you are ready to rock and roll with Seesaw in your classroom. And I want to give a special shout out to my New Zealand and Australia teachers that are listening in probably here in their afternoon today. So, and if you're listening to the recording, thanks, and you can play along as well when we get to join in the class. So let's get going. I'm Angela. So I've taught kindergarten for 15 years, and I left my classroom in June to join the rock stars here at Seesaw. So in my classroom, I was able to use Seesaw for 2 years, and I had 5 shared iPads in my classroom. I really focused on creativity, communication, and connections when I was using technology, so Seesaw was just a perfect fit. So now, like I said, I'm supporting teacher success at Seesaw, so I get to do all these webinars and fun stuff like this, and you can find me on Twitter at Mrs. Gadke, so you can check me out there. Let's start with the basics of Seesaw. So Seesaw is really an app that allows students to capture their learning, and because it's a tool that's so intuitive for students, it really empowers them to show what they know in multiple formats. So, you know, we really are all about encouraging that creativity and student voice. There are several tools for creation just in this one app, and items can be shared with the student's family, peers, or even the world. And you as the teacher get to decide how you want to start and set that up, and you can change your settings along the way as well. And I wanted you just to know too, it's really easy for any teacher. So if you're listening in and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm not super tech savvy, you are going to do amazing things in your classroom with Seesaw. So here are some of the reasons why I love Seesaw. And quite honestly, every time I talk about it and the more I used it in my classroom, I think this list kept growing and growing. But things like student voice, making thinking visible, creating ownership and reflection in students, but also organizing and sharing all those digital creations that you're doing so they're not just stuck on a device with no audience. Builds a strong connection of communication between home and school, and really has that embedded authentic audience for feedback that students are really looking for. And crosses language barriers as well, not only because you're sending a lot of visual things home, but we have also a great translation feature now too that will translate content from Seesaw in over 50 languages. So in terms of platform support, we're on all these different platforms, and you can really bounce between all of them to use Seesaw, so keep that in mind in your classroom. and we are getting ready to experience Seesaw as a student. So this is the point where you're going to want to grab your second device and get ready. You really just need to get ready to explore Seesaw as a student. So like I said, you don't need to create a class or anything. Just have that second device ready to go. So what we're going to do, and like a true kindergarten teacher, I'm going to model the steps here for you. So here we go. So I've created a class, and of course it's, you know, not a typical Seesaw class in the sense that typically you would list all of your student names here along the right-hand side. And for today's webinar, we have hundreds of teachers from around the world joining us, so I couldn't add everybody's name. So what I did is I added, you know, an initial, the first letter A through Z. So you are going to put your content into the portfolio that matches the first letter of your first name. So that does mean we might be sharing a portfolio with someone else tonight, but that's okay. I just want you to get the hang of it. This class is also set up tonight as a shared device class, meaning that multiple students could still be sharing the same device and still get access to their class. So we're going to get ready to jump in. So if you are already using Seesaw in your class, make sure you're signed out of the app completely. Completely signed out. We need to be out of your class if you're already using it as a teacher, because as you can see here, we are going to sign in as a student. So what you're going to do first, here we go, we're getting started. Go ahead and tap the app, just tap Seesaw, or go to app.seesaw.me right now in your web browser. And this is what the view looks like depending on the device you have. So again, if you're on an iPad, Android, or Kindle, you're going to see here on the left what it looks like. You're just going to tap I'm a student, and then on the web here on the right, again, you're just going to tap I'm a student. So go ahead and do that right now. Then you'll notice this little thing will pop up, and make sure you allow or enable your camera and microphone and all of those things. If you get a pop-up coming at you, you'll see that a built-in QR reader pops up on your screen if you are using your device. So in a minute, we're actually going to scan a QR code to enter our class. On the right here, you're going to see what it looks like on the Chromebook or the web right now. And here we go. So go ahead and you're going to scan this QR code right now to join our Seesaw class. And those of you that are using a laptop as your second device, don't worry. You might be thinking, Angela, I can't scan this QR code. This is going to be too tricky from my laptop. In a second, I'm going to give you a text code to type in that will last just for the next 15 minutes. So I want to hold this up here for a second while people are scanning that QR code. But what I'm actually going to do is go into our class here live that you are actually going to be entering. And this is the text code that you're going to enter in, IVZKI, if you are using the web and you're trying to get in via app.seesaw.me. I'm going to throw that into the chat as well, so that will be sitting there for you. Again, the text code in this situation is really just to make it easier for students out there to join our QR setup class. So get ready, here we go. So all you've done is tapped I'm a student, you scan the QR code. So now we're going to keep talking. I will have the QR code on these slides. So if you're not in yet, don't worry, it's still there for you to join. So the first tool we're going to talk about is the photo tool. And you can see here on the screen and on the screen on your second device, all the options that students have when adding content just built into the app. So when we're talking about the photo, on the bottom of the screen here, you'll notice these 4 options come up in terms of layering, annotation layers that you can add to photos, such as recording voice, drawing on top of it, or adding a caption. Here on the left, you can also rotate a photo. So what we're going to do here tonight is, in a moment, you are going to tap that photo button, and then you are actually going to take a picture, but I just want to explain a couple things before you do that. These little green buttons is where you actually capture the photo, and you can tap any of those to actually take the photo. And then what I'd like you to do is tap photo, and then you're going to show us a picture of your view right now. And after you tap the photo and take a picture of your view, what you're going to do is it'll kind of look like this once you've taken your picture, and we're just going to go ahead and make this simple and tap the green check mark after you've taken your photo. And I always told my students that means I'm done with that part. So I've added my photo. And then you're going to select the portfolio that matches the first letter of your first name. So obviously I've selected my name, Angela. You would select the folder, the portfolio that matches your name. So then your item is added after I approve it. So here are the steps that you're going to take right now to add this content, your very first Seesaw entry, to our Seesaw class. So again, you've just tapped from the app, I'm a student, you scan this QR code, and then you're going to go ahead, take a photo of your view, tap the green check mark, add it to the journal that matches your first initial, and you have done your first job. So I'm going to give you a minute to play along and do that. And let's see if I can get a little jazzy background music going on while you do some work here. All right, how are we doing, everyone? So just a couple things to note. You don't need a separate QR reader to scan this QR code. It's built right into the Seesaw app. So let's take a peek into our class live. You've just added content. So I'm going to jump into the class here, and you'll see, nice, we have lots of people playing along. So this is the teacher view of the class right now that you are currently in. So I can see on the bottom I have 93 unapproved items. So I am going to tap down here to my unapproved items. And look at these beautiful people. So we have people adding their content of their view. Wonderful. You can see how instantaneous this is, that I'm getting these items from all around the world right now into our class. So I can, as a teacher, quickly scan through all of these. I can one at a time approve them or delete them. But I can also use this handy little button down here and mass approve these items. So because I trust your digital citizenship here tonight, I am going to approve all of these items right now, and then we're going to keep on playing. So if you didn't get in the first time to our class, don't worry, you're going to get in, you'll have a chance to get in later. We've just, whoa, look at this, we're cruising ahead here. So that was just your first little practice with getting going with Seesaw. So we're going to talk about the drawing tool next. Now the drawing tool, again, looks a little bit like this on an iPad, and you can see you can also record voice and, you know, change the color of the lines and all that sort of stuff. So let's talk a little bit. I don't know why it showed that drawing page, but let's keep going. Let's talk about how you get started in your class. So I always tell teachers it's okay to start super simple. And if you're thinking, gosh, I got to wrap my head around this before my students get started, go ahead and take a day or two and just capture their learning in your classroom. So I would walk around and, you know, this little guy was doing an experiment, and I thought, you know what, his family would love to see this. So I took the photo and added it to his portfolio. Then you can notice that students can easily start documenting their own learning. So just by using the photo alone, just starting super simple, these are just examples. So maybe at the end of a lesson, these were my kindergartners here in the upper left. We were talking about symmetry. I said, show me what you know about symmetry. And off they went and documented what they had built or created, showing what they knew about symmetry. In the middle here, this little guy is just taking a photo of a pattern that he created, and again, it really leads to kind of an open-ended situation in terms of, you know, I can really see the different levels where students are able to show me what they know in terms of where they kind of take it. So again, that's just starting super simple. So stage 2 students might do a photo and then tap the drawing and then draw on top of it. So here are a couple of examples of that. So if you're doing a science experiment, we were growing crystal gardens in my class, so that's not really easy to take home. So we took a picture of it. Students would then label kind of what was happening each day. Maybe it's a way that you want to show or illustrate a math concept. This, I think this is a second grader showing parallel lines. And then this other example here is just students using it more of kind of a self-check at circling the numbers that they knew. So again, those are kind of basic examples. And then as you move along, as you kind of build up the annotations, students can add more and more layers to explain their learning. So this writer's workshop example is one of my kindergartners, and really, again, this was just plain, plain old writer's workshop using our regular paper and crayons and everything, but then taking a photo of it and reading their work.
I am great at art.
Love this for beginning readers and writers so they can orally tell their story. This example was explaining a sort after math, how they approached it.
How we sort out buttons. The white group is teddy bears. The green group is hearts.
Okay, so that's another little example. If your students are doing any sort of independent work at stations, if you're doing word sorts, this is an example just to kind of add, again, a little bit of level of accountability here.
These are the words that have T in them. To, that's, what, and the.
So again, as a teacher, when I'm getting this content, I'm thinking as a quick check, oh, okay, we got to revisit the word went, these little insights to what they know. Things like quick assessment checks you could do, reflecting on a story. Maybe it's a quick exit ticket in math.
I can read double-digit numbers. 19, 47, 68, and 35.
So those moments when you'd love to be able to talk to every student in your class and kind of walk around and see what they do, what they're doing, or see what concept they understood. This is an easy way to hear from all of your students, at the end of a lesson. Maybe they're doing predicting. Maybe you're working with a science experiment.
This is day 1 of my marigold plant. I see some dirt. Roots will be growing right here.
So again, I hope you're seeing some of these examples and thinking, oh, I can see how this can fit into my classroom. This is a first grader doing a little bit of goal setting. Again, super easy, just starting with a picture.
This is my self-portrait. When I'm looking most forward to in 4th grade is learning more math and animals because they move fast.
So I'm kind of moving quickly through these examples, and there's lots more, but we're going to get ready here to play again. So grab your device for creating, and we're going to practice with photo and voice now, which is one of my favorites. So you're just going to go in the upper right-hand corner and tap the green add button, and then you're going to tap photo and take a selfie if you want, or show us something that you love, or anything in your room, whatever. We're just practicing. Keep in mind that this is a global audience, and people watching the recording will be able to access our class and play along as well. After you take the photo, though, instead of going right to the green check mark, just go underneath and tap the mic and do a little talking, explain, just because I want you to play around with how easy that is. And then go ahead and tap the green check and add that to our Seesaw class tonight. So I'm going to give you a minute to play around with that. All right, how's everyone doing? Let's keep going here. What I'm going to do next, I kind of bounced out of here because I was showing someone the QR code that needed it, but we've worked through a couple of examples here. So we're going to jump back into our class here in a second and see how you're doing with adding content. So again, as a teacher, I'm here just in, our class, and yay, people are still playing along. Awesome job, everyone. So you're playing with the audio, and I will tell you that adding audio to work for students and for me, oh, look at this cute little team, um, was something that a teacher I didn't quite understand the power of until I started hearing from my students. It was quite amazing. So thanks for playing along, everyone. Keep on adding content. If you want to do more as I keep going, just go ahead and play with it. So tool number 2, the drawing tool, you kind of got a sneak peek of this before, but it's your basic tool where you can kind of create and do anything. You can also, after you take a picture, you'll notice that it does take you into the drawing tool as well. So here are a couple of classroom examples of that. This first one is actually my son doing homework one night and getting super frustrated not understanding parallel lines. So him being able to take a picture and then draw on top of it really helped him explain.
You can see the lines that I've drawn are not parallel. Let me show you a line of parallel lines. T and S and Q and R are parallel because they'll never meet.
Okay, and then the other example, just to show you too, and this is again super basic, but completely changes the flow of your classroom if you're working with younger students. So again, this is just the drawing with a microphone, and this was students counting, oral counting. So back in pre-Seesaw days, I would have students come and count by fives to me one-on-one, and then it would take 35 minutes to get through the whole class, or 40, but now I would just have students show me what they know.
I can count by fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40.
Not a super glamorous use, but at the same time powerful in the sense that a family could see where they're at. I have that record. I can actually hear where they made any sort of errors, but then for the students, they can go back and listen to that growth as well. Here are lots of other examples of using Seesaw, so I definitely want you to come back when you get this slide deck and check them out. Things, this is another example of just
This is a group
thinking.
of 16, and I figured out 16 is an even number because there is 8 groups of 2, and none left over. I can also do an addition sentence. 8 plus 8 equals 16.
So again, that's kind of a quick exit ticket type of thing. This was a student reflecting after a science experiment.
I see 2 cups of water. I think 1 ice cube will melt. I learned that the hot water melted before the cold.
So there's lots of examples, things even like flipping instruction. It's super simple in Seesaw. So this is a quick screencast that I made for my students right in Seesaw.
You have been learning about consonant clusters. You can hear the sound of 2, they say brr. And finally, I have the consonant.
So you can come back and watch that, but again, super simple way to differentiate instruction as well. In terms of teacher workflow, here's a couple tricks as well. If you're just brand new to Seesaw, like you guys are, the teacher, when you're signed in as a teacher, you have an option to add content to everyone. So this is perfect if you have a class photo to send home, or if you're sending home a newsletter or any sort of reminder notes, or even a class book. I think of that everyone button as an every family button. So, this is a little reminder note that I sent home to my families the night before a huge snowfall, so they would have all of their winter gear. I'm from Minnesota here, and they see it instantly. So, we're going to practice quickly with the note feature in Seesaw. And what I want you to do is tap the green button in the upper right-hand corner again, and you're just going to tap note, and then you're going to type into the note your next 2 steps with Seesaw. So where are you going to go from here? Hopefully you're going to say, I'm going to come back and see you tomorrow night, Angela. And then you're going to add that to our Seesaw class journal. So again, I'm going to give you a couple seconds to play around with that. So go for it. Okay, so I kind of give you a little bit of time there to add that, and you can keep going along with that. But I want to talk about kind of a couple more things here before we go. So what I want to talk about is my Seesaw plan. This thing is awesome, and basically, if you're new to Seesaw, this is your basically how-to roadmap if you want to follow it. So we have the Seesaw plan, and you can go to this document and you can go to File and then make a copy, and you can see all the people that are currently doing this right now. Make a copy and then make this your own. And basically what we have is step by step how you get going with Seesaw, and from the teacher perspective is in kind of all the tasks are in light blue. Again, don't be like, oh my gosh, Angela, this is 2 weeks of stuff I have to do. No, no, no. This is just step by step, little itty bitty things that might take you 3 minutes. And then here in the center are Seesaw Student Challenges, this orange little row here. So I'm going to click on that because these Seesaw Challenges are really your go-to lesson plans for implementing Seesaw in your classroom with your students. So if I click on this K2 lesson plan, it goes through step by step by step. Like basically I think 16 different tasks in this one that you work through with your students, and you can see how many people are viewing this as we currently view it. But we also have this fun little kind of game board map for the younger crew to kind of follow along as they're going with Seesaw. But this Seesaw plan is really great in the sense that, again, all sorts of resources are linked here too, where you can see tutorial videos and lesson ideas and all sorts of examples. So this is really great for you to refer back to as you're getting started. I also want to tell you this if you're getting started as well. So tonight I shared our class QR code with you, our global class, because I wanted everyone to be able to join. That's not something you're ever going to want to share on social media or outside of your classroom, because just like you scanned our class QR code today to join our class, so could anybody else. So if you are creating your Seesaw class, which we're going to go through tomorrow in our Brand New to Seesaw 2 webinar, the logistics of that, just keep in mind you want to keep this protected in your classroom. So the next steps for you before we say goodbye, and again, we have some minutes here that we're going to answer questions, but go ahead and register for Brand New to Seesaw 2, and we're going to be talking about all of these things as we continue tomorrow. And this is old here, this November 16th, but so don't click on that link, I'll have to update it. But just how you signed up for this one, you can sign up for that one as well. We do have Seesaw for Schools. Everything we've talked about tonight is completely free. And Seesaw for Schools is really our premium paid option for Seesaw, which allows portfolios to travel with students from year to year. There are lots of great tools for admins, a dashboard with real-time data, more tools for teachers in terms of being able to really dig into kind of keeping track and organizing those student assessment information that's coming in. So definitely check that out if you are currently in a school using Seesaw for Schools. That's great as well. So we're going to dig into some questions here in the next few minutes. We have a few more minutes left. So go ahead and type them in if you want to learn more. And of course, we're going to continue this conversation when you come back for Brand New to Seesaw 2 tomorrow. So question, what happens if a kid clicks on a wrong name? Can you change that? So yeah, that's really easy to do. So if that were to happen in our class as a teacher, I could just tap on the 3 dots and go to edit people and then change change it that way. And again, this is a class QR shared device, so students would select their name. If students are signing in via email or Google sign-in, they actually don't have to select their name. We already know that it's them. Let's see. So you'll get the presentation emailed to you. You know, Heather's asking, is there a computer device ratio to student recommendation? We have teachers that use Seesaw with one iPhone that they have. We have teachers that are one-to-one devices. So really, you can use Seesaw in any of those different situations. In a lot of my examples you saw, because I had 5 shared iPads, my students were still able to capture all of their hands-on learning that they're doing, even if they're not using a device all the time. They can do it quickly with Seesaw. So I think that, you know, completely, there isn't a recommended ratio. Can you have different QR codes for each student? So you don't have QR codes to enter the class for each student, but each student has a unique QR code available to the family for them to access just that child's portfolio. Is the app available in Spanish? So Beth is asking that question. The interface of the app is only in English. However, all the content you add can be in any language that you speak or type. So obviously you can speak Spanish and record voice in Spanish. You can type any sort of text in other languages. The actual interface, though, that you saw where it says photo and things like that, that is all in English. Let's see, how easy is it to use the camera tool and video on a Chromebook? So again, we work on all those platforms. You know, I think logistically it's a little bit easier to take a photo with, you know, a mobile device than a Chromebook, but people are rocking and rolling with Seesaw on Chromebooks. And it's easier to type on a Chromebook than it is a mobile device. So they kind of both have their advantages. So Heather, we actually have an hour-long webinar all about Chromebooks. So definitely check that out on our PD site, which I'll show you in a second. Ashley's wondering about the blog. There is a blog option that is embedded into Seesaw, but we're not going to get into that yet. Parents can only see content once you invite them to your Seesaw class, so kind of keep that in mind. Other quick questions here, and then we're going to say goodbye for today. Is there a way to set up a class but have 3 or 4 different teachers have access? So basically in Seesaw, you are able to invite co-teachers to the class. So I would tap into my profile icon, manage class, and then manage teachers, and I would just send them an email inviting them to the class. In free Seesaw, you can have up to 2 teachers per class. If you are using Seesaw Plus or Seesaw for Schools, you have more co-teachers that you can add. Also in class settings, there's all sorts of things. So someone's asking, can you turn off the like feature? So again, in your class settings, which we're going to go into tomorrow when you come back for the next one, in Manage Class, you can decide all of those things. If you want likes and comments turned on or off, you decide all of that right in your Manage Class settings, how you want that set up. Other questions, can you download the videos to the camera roll? Yep. So anything that goes into Seesaw, you can download out of Seesaw as well. Let's see, other questions. I think we have a couple, just like we're kind of over time here. So I want to show you a couple more slides. And if I haven't answered your questions, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, or you can email help@seesaw.me as well. Our privacy principles are super important to us here at Seesaw, so make sure you check these out when you get our slides. And also, this is the website you want to just keep going to. It's called web.seesaw.me/PDS, and we literally have hours and hours and hours of recorded webinars like you're listening to right now for you to peruse. So if you want to spend an hour learning about Seesaw blogs, you can do that. If you want to hear ideas from other teachers, special ed teachers and music teachers and English as a second language teachers, they are all right here. So definitely go there and check those out. And then hopefully you're going to come back tomorrow, and we're going to keep digging into Seesaw here. So again, I'm at Mrs. Gadke on Twitter, but make sure to check out our Seesaw Teachers group on Facebook as well. Super, super active group. of amazing teachers that are sharing ideas left and right. I can barely keep up with them. So check that out as well. And when we end this webinar, that you're going to get a survey, and I'd love for you to fill out that survey. Once you fill out the survey, I'm going to pick someone from the survey. For filling out the survey, I'm going to give a Seesaw t-shirt too. So kind of to encourage you to fill out the survey after. It's helpful in our planning, so definitely check that out. And if you want to hang out some more tonight, you are welcome to join me. We're going to start our next webinar in about 10 minutes, all about back to school tips and tricks. So join in on that one if you'd like to. Again, you would find that on our PD and PJ site. So thanks everyone for coming. And I hope you can stay tuned and join me here in 10 minutes. And if not, look forward to getting the email with this recording and also slides coming your way. And I'll see you tomorrow for Brand New to Seesaw 2. Thanks, everyone.